I'm a future ex-governor.
All right, guys.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Mike Netter, one of the proponents, along with Owen Heatley. Welcome to our town hall. I want to start off by saying hope. That's kind of the theme that I've gotten from everybody across California as I've traveled up and down the state. For those of you that watch us on a regular basis, you'll notice I'm not out in the streets of California tonight. I'm actually back at my house. Oren, you're flashing something there on the screen, and find out what that is in a second here. Yes, the ballots are out. And that is exciting. And for everybody out there, that's an added degree of hope. And you know what, Oren? I'm actually a firmer believer in climate change because of something that I just saw. Do you know what that is?
Tell me, Mike.
Gavin sweating. If you watch that full video, you would see that Gavin Newsom literally in that interview, and everything is seen now for the first time that I've seen him acknowledge sweating. And I'm saying that not even facetiously. It's about time that we made Gavin sweat the way he's made the people of California sweat. And God bless everybody on this journey here. It's coming around. I also want to state before we get started, and we have really quite the town hall lined up for you tonight. It's fascinating how many reasons there are to recall Gavin. And even watching that hour interview, the reporters all lined up, each with their different questions. They can't even get to all the reasons themselves why we need to recall Gavin. But the one thing, the one word I want to leave you with is at Oren's flashing his ballot is the word hope. There is hope. There's hope for California because we, the people, got this on the ballot. Sorry, got to do this. Whether you like it or not, Gavin, it's coming and it's starting soon. And we have to make sure to keep up the full court press. I've also got to tell you that I saw a tweet from Gavin and the Democratic Party today, which really got me laughing as we got started because it talks about this and that and how we don't believe in this and that. And it says, make sure to go out and vote. And I'm scrolling through the tweet, and I look at the tweet again. It says, make sure to go out and vote. Gavin, let me finish the tweet for you. You forgot to finish, vote yes. They didn't even put how to vote on that big tweet that we saw going out. So the Democratic Party, or the other side, I call it Gavin's camp, is literally in a scurry. Or we got a show tonight where three guests, Errol Webber is going to talk about.
We have it. It is a packed lineup. We have some wonderful guests for you tonight, folks. Some great information. Mark Moiser's here. He's going to dispel some myths. He's going to educate us about some of the election law that's going on right now. And it's a great lineup. And folks, stay tuned. Stay tuned till the end because we may have to go long for this. All of our guests have a lot to say, and there is no shutting Mike up. So,
right, exactly, and good luck with that. I've got a lot of pent-up energy from being around the streets here. And by the way, last week, as you noticed, we didn't have a town hall because Oren, Dan, and I were very honored to actually be at the live gubernatorial debate. And I've said this over in interviews on the radio show, and you'll hear me rambling about it again. It really hit home how we, the people, have made history, Oren, as we walk in the Richard Nixon Library and we see gubernatorial debate with recall above it. Now, one of the things
it seems like it was a month ago.
It does. It was only a week ago, believe it or not.
I know.
Oren,
there is a lot going on right now, folks. There is a lot going on.
You know one thing that made me jealous of the gubernatorial debate, Oren? That I didn't get the buzzer for the candidates. I didn't go have a minute and 15 seconds, right? I'm thinking I could do that job. But anyway, along those lines, we're going to ask each of the guests tonight. We're going to do Errol Webber first, then we're going to do Andrew, then give it to Mark Mauser a little bit. We do like to keep this as around 7:30. We'll do what we can. Errol, I think you're still out there, and I want to start with a great video that you put together, which really was a hit, part of our pop culture early in the recall. And I understand you're putting together another one.
I am. So I'm going to do some screen sharing while I talk. Hopefully whoever runs this will set up the screen share so you guys can see what's going on. Are you guys able to see my screen?
We can.
Excellent. So right now I'm in the middle of working on a video called 100 Reasons to Recall Gavin Newsom. So I'm showing you the whole workout of my computer. Right now I have 281 researched articles that I'm using for this recall Gavin Newsom video. And it's been the past 10 days of research and fact checking, and actually using a lot of liberal publications for my evidence, because if the fact checkers try to come after me, they're only coming after their own liberal media, and they're discrediting their own liberal media. So right here, I have my notes on my computer. These are the 100 reasons that I have listed that I already did the script for why we should recall Gavin Newsom. And then I'm gonna just play a couple seconds of this really quickly, but this is what I have going on so far. I'm sure some of you have seen the previous video. The previous video looks like this.
I saw Gavin Newsom trending on Twitter. I wonder why so many people are trying to have him recalled. Could it be having some of the highest taxes in the country? Or maybe it's the constant attacks on Howard Jarvis's Prop 13.
Okay, so you guys have seen that video in the past. This is the new one.
Or is it Gavin ignoring his own stay-at-home order to have dinner at the French lawn?
I think we have a freeze.
Yes, it did freeze up.
Okay. Errol, I think we have a quick freeze there. That's going to happen with a couple things tonight. A couple quick things, and it looks like Errol lost his Wi-Fi signal. That happened earlier.
Soon as Errol comes back, folks, we'll bring him back in.
Bring him back.
I just want to say before we launch out of Errol's segment real quick, I have gained a tremendous amount of respect for Errol, talking with him from way back in the Aaron Cruz recall days, where I believe he was actually interested in running for lieutenant governor. And back then, I think I had sent him a message, hey, you know what? Hopefully we'll get this recall done and you'll have other options. And, you know, I know, and hopefully he'll come on to answer these questions, but I think that he wanted to, throw his hat in the ring as well, but realized his limits. And he realized that he didn't have the ground force behind him, or the traction that he needed in order to carry that out. And you know what? Making that realization and taking the step to redirect his energies is something that, a lot of people just aren't able to do. And God bless him for taking that step.
And two quick things there for everybody. We get a lot of comments sometimes of finished products. I'm glad Errol kind of showed. It's really hard to put a lot of things together, be it a ballot statement that we put out, or be it videos that are put together or producing the show. So understand, we have an amazing team in the recall that does it. I'm also amazed that Errol Webber was able to keep it down to 100 reasons. But let's go ahead and roll kind of a bit to our next guest. Next one is one of my passions here. Andrew is going to talk a little bit about what's going on. And before I introduce you, I want to say, for those of you that don't know, I'm quite public about it. My house actually burned in the 2007 wildfires because of mismanagement by the utility companies and the state of California. That was back in 2007. And it appalls and amazes me that the state of California, along with supposed to regulate the utility company, still has not learned their lesson. And for everybody out there, I talked to Andrew previously to this. If you ever need any coaching, if you get partial burning to your house or unlucky enough to have a structure burned down, hey, it's just a structure, please feel free to contact me, because I'm one of the few people that you will ever hear of that actually knows how to navigate a post-fire disaster. Andrew, you're on the air.
Hey guys, first of all, I want to say thank you to Oren for inviting me, for being here today. And
For all the folks who don't know me, my name's Andrew Wellborn, and just a brief background. I've just spent almost 30 years working with the California Department of Corrections up here in Northeastern California, Lassen County, and I do a weekly radio broadcast on conservative level. And I just want to take a few minutes to just pray for the folks of Greenville, California, and of course, not forget the folks of Paradise, California. And the folks right now, Lake Almanor, Chester, and right now Janesville and Susanville, California, we're all under a major threat due to some really, really poor management decisions and policy decisions that have been made by the California legislature and currently the governor, all the way back to Jerry Brown and past. So with that being said, I just one of the big messages that we use up here is just vote yes on this recall. Just vote yes. My experience with the California Republican Party up and down the state of California is real simple. We are divided amongst candidates. So just vote yes and decide who you want later. As long as we can get the yes vote out, we are fine. And yes, we are absolutely, I think we are second now biggest fire in California's history. Now this, just to let you guys know, this fire started over 50 miles away. I mean, it just started a long ways. It's up through what's called the Feather River Canyon. It hit Lake Almanor. It should not have even hit Lake Almanor, much less threaten my community. My wife and I right now, we are under evacuation warning. I have to apologize for my appearance, but everything's packed. And so this is the second year in a row that my family has prepared to evacuate due to the fact that Plumas County and certain organizations like the Sierra Club in San Francisco, the strong supporters of Gavin Newsom and Incorporated, has put us under threat for 2 straight years. And we're safe, we're fortunate. The town of Janesville currently is safe. Our big questions is how come the tankers are not in the air? You know, we're getting various answers. How come the flyovers are not occurring? How come we can't put a fire out when it first starts? For goodness sakes, who really is the blame? We understand global warming is the big spin message. We understand PG&E is the big corporate monster today. But the reality, Sierra Club Incorporated is really what's murdering our forest. And, you know, to see such devastation 2 years in a row, to see 2 communities just decimated. I mean, at some point in time, Southern California, you got to figure out what your voting policies are. I'm just a young man from Texas, been out here since 1987. I came out here. I love California. California's been great to me. The video that was shown earlier was spot on. I mean, what can we say after watching that video? I came out here with opportunity, and California has been great to me. I do video conference calls back in Nashville, Tennessee, talk to these young individuals who are now coming up in the music industry, which is a whole different story. And they ask me questions about California. I cannot even recommend them to come to California like I did as a young man, because the opportunities that were there in the state of California, because of policies of the state of California, make it almost impossible for somebody to come in as a young man or a young woman in order to try to make their way and become successful in the state. So great job, Mr. Webber, with that video and what everybody has done. Real quick, I want to thank Mr. Andrew Beck up here in Lassen County. Give a big shout out to him. He has been in the forefront of the recall initiative within this region, and we've been behind him 100%. So yes, we are very, very upset at this point, more so about the lack of policies, the policy failures when it comes to forest management. And we'll get into PG&E later. We understand there's maybe a little bit of difference of opinion when it comes to the Southern California fires versus the fires that happen up here in Northeastern California, the real north, you know, the northern part of the state, north of San Francisco. But the reality is the power lines run through these canyons. They run through these canyons. Equipment's going to get old. It's very difficult to get there. My question is why, and the question to my radio audience, should we say, and the question most people have up here in this area is, when we see the fire start, why do we let it burn? Well, it's the policies of the state of California in association with EPA and other federal agencies. Where's Kamala Harris right now, folks? This is her home state. They're watching us burn up here. I mean, we get it. We're pretty conservative up here in this part of the state. But the reality is that when you look out, I wish I could turn. I mean, you guys that are suffering in Southern California and Central California, where it's coming down, the smoke is coming all the way to Reno, Nevada, is nothing in comparison to, I think this is the equivalent of a 2-leaf fog that goes on in Central California in the valley. That's how thick. But the difference is the air quality at this point is absolutely horrible. And so for all the environmentalists up and down the state of California who support Gavin Newsom, who support Nancy Pelosi, who support all these individuals that are in control, I mean, if you see the damage and the destruction of the forest that you so-called want to protect, you need to come up here and take a peek.
I want to jump in a little bit here too, because what was amazing after the fire that I experienced, you hear about the Sierra Club worried about this, that, and the other. And it's funny how man doesn't give nature a lot of credit. Nature will take care of itself. You hear the Sierra Club worried about this and the other. The reality is, where homes took up to 5 to 6 years to rebuild, nature kind of rejuvenates itself from a fire, from clearing, in about 1.5 years.
Lost your video, Mike.
Most people, not to interrupt, but most people up here, are sick of hearing that, to be honest with you. I mean, there's nothing natural about the destruction.
Right.
When we have the ability to prevent it. And when we're running power lines through these areas, because we have to, then there's obligation to the state and the federal government to ensure that the power lines are cleared. So when we take a look at what happened to Paradise, California, most of us in this area will have the opinion it could have been preventable. Even though the accident occurred, even though what caused the fire, if the practices would have been in place, most of us up here clearly, we clearly agree that Paradise, California would still be here. And the people that were affected by it, that died from it, would still be alive. But our message up here is a little bit different, say, than Central California and Southern California fires, because all we got to do is clear the lines. Now, after it occurred, and we were talking about this a little bit before we came on the air, Mr. Netter, is that after the Paradise fire, all of a sudden, the state of California, the federal government allowed the timber industry to get in and begin to clear the power lines going through Lake Almanor, California. I mean, it was overnight. It was overnight clearing the lines. And I'll say here this evening that action probably saved a lot of homes on the peninsula and around Chester, California, as a result of clearing those lines to prevent the fire from spreading. So the reality is that our opinion up here is going to be a little bit different, like I said. And I think most folks up here in my area would tend to agree. But our message is not getting out. Our message is not getting out as far as the need to ensure that the forest is managed.
No, actually, our message is the same. That's what I was saying. That video cut out.
Okay.
That the reality.
No,
is,
I'm talking about as far as where the blame is. PG&E. We're talking about the failed policies of the PG&E. Right, whereas is that if they would have just cleared the lines up here,
right,
allow PG&E to clear the lines.
They're not. Yeah. They're not concerned with it. I don't think we have the same problem that burned down my house. I mean, it's again, we've only got a few more minutes here, but it's absolutely ridiculous that the state of California, especially under Gavin Newsom, and we know that he lied quite bluntly about how much land he had cleared in, I believe it was, on what was it, 2000?
90,000 acres is what he said.
I was not in agreement when I was watching that video. Yes. That's the truth. They straight lied about how they've been liars for a lot of years, for decades in the state of California. They're just getting more blatant about it. And it is time to hold these individuals accountable, and it starts at the top. The big question is for the Democrats. It's kind of interesting. Did the Democrats make a mistake by not putting an alternative candidate like they did with Cruz Bustamante back in 2003? Are they so confident that this guy is not going to get recalled at this point? That's why the message just needs to be very, very clear. Just vote yes, decide who you want later.
Absolutely. And again, Andrew, tell us how people can hear you and get a hold of you, if you will.
Oh, sure. You can just reach me at andrewwellborn.com. I mean, I basically, my radio program is called the 503 Report. We're bringing Sacramento to the world to you, where America's voice is heard. We broadcast weekly on 1240 AM, SierraDailyNews.com up here in Northeastern California. A small regional show. I love doing it. No interest in trying to take it at a different level. The people up here are great, solid conservatives, and I guarantee you guys, we're voting yes on this recall. We might go with an alternative candidate than what everybody wants to go with, but we're definitely going to vote yes and do our part to get Gavin, the second governor in the history of California, to be removed from office.
All right. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it again.
Andrew, God bless, my friend. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yep.
Thanks for having me.
Remember, fire is undefeated. Don't stay and defend your house.
Mike, you're breaking up, buddy.
Get out of your house.
Get out.
Fire comes.
We're on standby right now. We have everything we own, man, in a couple trailers, and we're just waiting to go. It's inconvenient, but at the same time, we're very fortunate because it looks like, we've survived it once, and I don't want to jinx it at this point, but we're looking pretty decent to survive a second serious threat where we are right now. Behind me, everything behind me, this house you guys see behind me that we spent 22 years
Andrew,
remodeling, putting our life and investment in.
Our sources say that there has been an arrest made in at least one of those major fires up there, and that knucklehead was responsible probably for other fires as well. And it doesn't matter who starts them, they wouldn't be as raging and as bad and as enticing to light if it weren't for the mismanagement of the forest. We've got to get out there, let the loggers do their jobs, let them clear the roads, let them clear the forest, clear cut the forest or burn them down, one of the two.
Well, they're going to let this fire burn. The direction that we're following, as long as it continues to burn and there's no threat to a major community, they're going to let it burn itself out. And most of us think that it's going to be it's going to be the first round of rains. Now, granted, it's off in the distance from us, but the smoke quality or the air quality is heading you guys' way as a result of it. So it's hand in hand when it comes to it.
Andrew, thank you very, very much. Appreciate you, brother. I'll look forward to appearing.
Thank you.
I know your bandwidth is low, and I don't mean your time. It looks like your internet's coming in and out there. So our next guest, I thought was going to be Mark Mauser, but it doesn't look like him.
Moiser.
Sorry, it still doesn't look like him. Something looks different about you, Mark. Look, Mark has been a friend of the recall and of the cause since the beginning. But obviously, I'm going to be a little facetious here, Mark. Look like it's taken a toll on you. You've lost some hair on your face.
Oh, Mike. That was my COVID stash, and I started growing it when Gavin shut us down, and I shaved it off at the end of June when I finally was able to do a full Ironman when these ridiculous COVID orders were finally reduced to the point where I could actually go do a full Ironman, which I did in Coeur d'Alene, which was a 2.4 mile lake swim, 112 mile bike ride, followed by a marathon. And it happened to be 102 degree day that I did that. So that wasn't a compliment to finish. So.
And congratulations on that. And tell you what, you could not have made that trek with that mustache, because it would have been wind drag and held you back in the swim.
Yeah, but that's not why you had me here today to talk about.
No, it's not.
Correct. We have a lot of people, a lot of questions on elections and what's going on. And Mark, you're kind of an expert when it comes to that, as evidenced by the large volume of books, which I know you've read every word behind you. So
I wish I'd read every word on the books behind me. I've got a few of those pages, not all of them.
Understand. So people have a lot of questions of what's going on. Obviously, the message we want to get out there is people need to vote. There is so much rat-a-tat-tat back and forth. Maybe you could do some clarification for us, like the great video you put out the other day.
Well, thank you, Mike. And yes, I do from time to time go online and talk about what's going on our elections, what's going on with COVID. Those are Facebook Lives that you can usually find by just typing my name, MarkMeuser, like my page. And when I do Facebook Lives, You can watch those and get better educated as to what's going on. Today, we actually had some news that the Secretary of State actually released new guidelines to the counties regarding this vote by mail program where you can print your own ballots out. So all the outrage that was generated over this last weekend because this complete lack of guidance on the vote by mail ballots, the Secretary of State had to actually come out and provide guidance to help ensure that there's some more integrity in the process of who can get one of these vote by mail ballots that they print at home. Real quickly, for those who heard, there's this new program where you can print your ballot at home and send it in. The thing is, you can print multiple copies, but in order to get one, you actually have to enter your driver's license or your last 4 digits of your Social Security and your date of birth. So there's some security before you could actually print it down. So I can't just go and pretend I'm Mike Netter and get Mike Netter's ballot and vote it for him, because I would have to know Mike Netter's driver's license number. And Mike, are you willing to share with everybody here what your driver's license is so we can all go vote yes for you on the recall?
You're an attorney and not with my driving record.
Okay, fair enough. But so there is a little bit of security. Now, if somebody prints up a mail-in ballot and votes and sends it back, and they don't sign the envelope, the Register of Voters is not going to have any way to verify the signature, and that ballot cannot be counted, although the voter would be sent a notice and told that they have 8 days to come in and try to rectify the situation. So just because somebody prints a ballot, they still have to match that ballot with the voter rolls, and then they have to verify the signature, and they have to make sure that that person hasn't voted. So there's several steps that are going to happen to make sure that there is some integrity in the system. Ultimately, the most important thing that came out from this news this last weekend is a very important reminder that the biggest voter fraud in the state of California is that people believe in their heart of hearts that there's no integrity in the system. And when people believe that there's no integrity in the system, they're less likely to vote on election day. They are less likely to participate in making their voice heard, getting involved in the recall. And there are people who think that there was so much fraud in our elections that they did not contribute to the recall effort, thus making it that much more stressful on the team to try to get enough volunteers that we could get the job done. Now, we got the job done that needed to get done, but it sure would have been a whole lot less stressful on Mike and Orrin if a couple $1 million checks had come in very early to help with this process. Our biggest problem in California is not election fraud. Our biggest problem in California is that so many people believe that their vote doesn't matter, that they no longer participate in our system. And the mainstream media helps push that narrative by making you think that you have no choice. They try to make you think, you know, for the last 3 months, all we heard is that there was absolutely no chance this recall was going to be successful. Yes, it was going to be on the ballot, but Gavin Newsom was going to win in a landslide. And even Gavin believed the mainstream media. But I don't think Mike and I don't think Orrin were willing to just raise the white flag. They understood that elections are held on election day, not by the media 3 to 4 months ahead of the election. The media tried to carry Gavin Newsom's water by telling everybody this recall is not going to be successful. And that's why Gavin and the legislature said, okay, we're going to waive all the rules and make sure that this election is as soon as possible. And more people thought, well, Gavin's just playing games. There's no integrity in our system. And it's become this very frustrating cycle And the problem is too many people, too many conservatives, too many freedom-loving Californians think that there is so much fraud in elections, so many games being played, that they might as well not be involved in this election. And here is the truth. If every one of those people who took the time to sign the recall petition simply went out and knocked on 10 doors and made sure 10 people voted yes on this recall, there will be more people voting to recall Gavin Newsom than even voted in the 2018 election. We are not losing our elections because of massive fraud in California. We are losing our elections in California because too many people are not participating in the system. In 2018, I ran for Secretary of State. I lost by 3 million votes, but there was over 8 million evangelical Christians who did not even vote in 2018. All I needed was about 60% of those people who didn't vote, and I would have won the election. And, that doesn't even include the millions of gun owners who didn't vote, or the number of people who just, they're not religious, they're not gun people, they're just parents who are too busy and they just don't want government in their life. And they don't understand that even though they don't want to be involved in government, government's still involved in their life. And that is where Earl's video of the 100+ reasons why we need to recall the governor is so important, because people need to wake up and understand that just because we don't participate in government and vote doesn't mean that these politicians aren't going to dictate whether our kids can go to school without wearing masks, are going to dictate whether you can even have a job without a vaccine. These politicians are getting drunk on power. And there is only one thing that we can do to stop this madness. Cuomo was gone yesterday. Gavin's got to go next month. And politicians around this nation will pay attention when Gavin gets recalled. You better believe it. Even Gavin is starting to get hysterical. You've seen the video. He's beginning to panic. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The power of the people is greater than these politicians. And it is time that we put the fear of the people in them. So stop being concerned about the election fraud. There are people like me, election law attorneys, who are monitoring what's going on. We work with the polls. We work with the register of voters. We make sure that there's integrity. If there's not, before those stories were even breaking, we were already seeing if a lawsuit needed to be brought. There are plenty of election law attorneys that monitor this stuff on a daily basis, and we make sure to the best of our ability that there's integrity in the system here in California. Are there problems? Yes, but we're taking care of them. We, the people who are not election law attorneys, what we have to do, what Andrew has to do, what Earl has to do, what Mike has to do, what Orrin has to do, what Susan has to do, what every last person who signed the petition needs to do is to put down our keyboards, stop being keyboard warriors, and actually go talk to our neighbors and make sure that they go to the polls on September 14th and vote yes on the recall.
Those are the most powerful and eloquent words we've heard on our show in a long time. And it's so much that I've been saying. And Mark, to back it up, and I've been saying this so much lately, that in the election where you did not win, I believe, the Secretary of State, only 12.5 million people even voted total in the gubernatorial election, which, as we started the recall, I was amazed appalled might be a better word. I don't even know how to put it. That so many people did not participate in the process. And so I'm going to echo Mark's words again, very strongly. We win this by participating. We've got Gavin on the ropes, and the punch to put him out, if you will, is going to be voting and getting other people to vote and getting them to vote yes. You can't call foul if you don't even play in the damn game. Mark,
hey, Mark, I have a question for you. There's a couple questions came up in chat. Mike, if you could look that up, it scrolled past quicker than I could get to it, but they had a question for Mark. Mark, I understand you might be giving people another opportunity to vote for you in the future. Is that correct?
Well, thank you very much for bringing that up. Yes, I am running for U.S. Senate in 2022. I have pulled papers for that. For those people who want to follow the campaign, they can go to www.markmoiser.com, MARKMEUSER.com. And for those of you who remember when I ran for Secretary of State, I actually did events in every single county of the state of California. One of my favorites is Plumas County. I always enjoy going up into that beautiful county. Hopefully the forest fires don't destroy it too much, because it is enjoyable to see those mountain lakes and forests. It is fun. It is fun to campaign in every single county. California has so much to offer, but bigger, more important than that is just a simple fact that there are a lot of liberty-loving Californians, and we need to encourage each and every one of them that California is not lost. We can and we will win the state again, and we will return politicians that actually have common sense. When I was growing up, my dad bragged about how good California politicians were, how they actually understood business, and they had policies that promoted business, that promoted good jobs, so that we had one of the strongest working classes. We had a vibrant tech community, a vibrant military contracts community. We had great IT. The Silicon Valley was born here. And now the biggest thing that we are exporting is good jobs and great employees. We're exporting those to other states. That got to change, and it starts with common sense, and it starts with people willing to put their name on the line, who are willing to fight for the common sense rather than promote radical political agendas that only help the political elite. It's time that we start putting people in office who are going to fight for we the people.
And I have to, I'm going to follow up with that, because I just want to say, and Mike, you can chime in. There have been very few people that have helped this campaign along as much as Mark Moiser has, from the legal standpoint, giving some suggestions, hints, guidance. I want to use the right terminology, and just kind of helping us so stay out of the pitfalls, because Mike and I are we're political novice. We're not elections codes savvy and things like that, and
But Oren, you're the David that's about ready to take down Goliath.
What's that?
You're the David that's about ready to take down Goliath.
You know what? Give me a couple rocks and a slingshot.
But Mark, let's be clear, the size of the pebble is important, and that's where you helped us, okay? So
that's right.
Got to throw that in there. The reality is this: people like Mark, like Kylie, like Eric Hurley, like a lot of people have been with us this entire journey. And I really want to say on the air right now, Mark, we really appreciate it. Look, when Oren and I and Dan and Susan and Robin and Christine and our crew started this petition, the reality is most people at any name in politics would not only give us the time of day, they wouldn't even tell us where the clock was. The reality is nobody really had faith in the people of California, which is all Oren and I and the rest of our team really represents. Nobody had faith in the people. And so Mark's message tonight is have faith in the system, because people like Mark had faith in us in getting this on the ballot. It is time for the final mile. Oren, is there anything you want to add there? Oren, is there anything you want to add there?
You know what? I've always got something to add, but it's a great journey. We have just a short time left, and as we go forward, people do need to understand that as we go forward, this mission is not done. This is not a one and done proposition. Mike, myself, Robin, Susan, Dan, Tim, everybody that's involved in this grassroots groundswell movement have other missions to accomplish together. This recall has brought everybody together, united Californians from across the entire political spectrum, all walks of life, every culture, every ethnicity, every race. We've all come together towards one common goal, and we're going to continue moving our state in the right direction as we go forward. We're going to launch phase 2. Okay, this is phase 1.2. Okay, getting Gavin out of office. But once Gavin is removed from office, phase 2 will officially kick off. And I'm announcing on this show that we will be changing the names of our groups. We're going to be changing the website, and it's right now it's kind of under wraps, but stay tuned. Good things are coming, and we're bringing them to you.
So be aware.
I'd like to reiterate something real quick, guys. What Mark was talking about. Now, I'd like to consider myself as a historical novice, especially in political history in the state of California. Let's go all the way back to 2000. I remember 2004, 2005, reporting some statistics came out that had 1 million registered Republicans in California showed up in 2000. Then Florida would not have mattered. So that is absolutely the point that we have to drive home. Just vote. Decide who later. Thanks.
Thank you. And again, let's stress that one more time. It's 50% plus one person. And I make fun of that in front of a crowd. Anybody could be that one. The reality is this only works if everybody joins the party. Everybody out there, the next 4 or 5 weeks for Orrin, myself, and the rest of the team are going to be an amazing whirlwind of activity. This is the journey of a lifetime. And we're all in this together. And thank you all for letting us help you and run you through it. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Errol. Remember, tune in this Friday to Friday Nights at the French Laundry, because again, the show is our way of blasting out over the airwaves to the general public our message. There will be radio media to come in the next few weeks, but the reality is this: it's up to us, the people, to spread the word everywhere that you go that the recall is taking place, and it's crowd participation that's going to bring California back. And it's time, California, that we, the people, did something about it, and now we have a chance. God bless. Good night. Let's go get them. Go out and vote.